supernatural, metaphysical, paranormal. You know, all those things you've been wondering about? Are you ready to go deeper into the realms of the unknown? I hope you've got your walking shoes on, because life is an adventure, and this is the journey. Come on, let's go. Hello and welcome to the show, everyone. We were the She Squatchers. Hello, we're the She Squatchers. I'm Jen, and I've got my team here who can introduce themselves.
I'm Jenna.
With the jazz hands.
I know I was born with jazz hands.
We've got really Jim. Yes, we've got Jim White with us tonight. And he's come to share with us some indigenous wisdom from the Santee Reservation in Nebraska. Can you tell us a little bit about your background so that our listeners know who you are and a little bit more about you?
Yeah. I'm a tribal member here at the Santee Dakota Nation. Born and raised here. I was raised by my grandpa and grandma, Philip and Hazel White. Went to school here, graduated here, went to the military, and got out of the military and went to college, trade schools, different trade schools, learned different trades. I was a auto and body painter, and then I became a truck driver. And I kind of did everything. I was kind of all kinds of jobs my whole life. And at the age of 27, I had a hard time with alcohol. And at that time is when I quit drinking alcohol and sobered up. And I went to my first sweat lodge, and it turned my life around for the better. And ever since that time, I stick to the ceremonies the whole time, you know, and I work, and I was married, I'm divorced. I have 5 kids, 2 biological kids, the 3 older ones I raised. And I pretty much just live out here in the prairie and do ceremonies. And like I said, I was a truck driver for over 20 years, and now I'm a medical driver. I drive people to their long distance medical appointments, like in Minnesota and South Dakota and Iowa and southern Nebraska. So that's what I do now. And I'm on here to tell my experience about I had with Bigfoot. So do you want me to start? Okay.
Absolutely. We want to hear all about it.
Well, in the fall of 2017, me and 2 other guys were cutting firewood for our tribal members, for our elders that burn firewood. And so we're actually about 2 miles from my place here in a ravine. And we got to, we each had a chainsaw, and we went up 3 different little, we call them draws, little valleys. And at that time, it was early in the morning, probably like 8:20, 8:30, somewhere in there. The sun was out, and we started cutting. And at that time, I didn't notice, but I felt somebody really staring at me. And so I stopped, and I looked, and I thought it was my other buddy, Doug. And he was busy cutting. And then I looked the other way, and my other buddy, JR, he was still cutting. So, excuse me. Anyway, I continued on to cut wood, and it just kept staring at me. And finally, when I looked up the hill, up the draw, behind this 20-foot cedar tree was this, I'm going to call it, looked like predator. It was probably about 9 foot tall because about half the way up the tree, half of the length, you know. And it was massive. It was big. And you could see the outline of it, you know, and it was like, what do you call it, shimmery or, you know, see-through. And be honest with you, it scared the hell out of me. So I started running down the draw, you know, back towards the pickup. And I told the other guys, I said, let's get out of here, you know. And they were like, well, we just got here. I said, well, you can stay here, but I'm gone. And that's, you know, that's how much it scared me, you know.
Well, that would scare us too, I think, if we saw that. I mean, especially when we've seen the Predator movies. You know,
Yeah.
Did you think it was a Bigfoot at that time, or did you just recognize
Well,
it?
at the time I was scared. So I really didn't really think much about it. And then I told this other Yuwipi man, he's from the Santee Reservation, and I told him about it. And he asked me 3 different things. And so I answered him, and he said, more than likely it was a Bigfoot, you know, because it has something to do with the dirt. It has something to do with the cedar tree. And then it has something to do with what we always say, the medicine of the cedar tree. And so with those 3 things, they all connected. So over time, you know, as time went by, I would have sweat lodges down here by my Sundance grounds. And finally, I seen it come closer and closer over time, not all at once, over time. And it looked like a big black shadow, you know, about 9 foot tall. And then one time it was nighttime, we were getting ready to go into the sweat. And I think it was just my family here with me, my uncle and my aunt, my sister. And it was standing behind my Sundance tree. And so as they went in and I was getting ready to close the door, this orange giant orb came. You know, I would say about the size of a silver dollar, you know. And when I shut the door, we went into the sweat, the Yuwipi, and I started singing, and then this little orange orb came in, probably about the size of a dime. And so I asked it in Dakota, I said, you know, what are you, you know? And then so I thought, well, you know, maybe it's that Bigfoot, maybe it's a spirit of it or something, you know? And so I said, if you're a Bigfoot, spark once. If you're not, spark twice. And then it sparked. And I think, oh, okay, this is something, you know? And then since it was orange, I asked him, I said, is your name Shazi? Red and yellow, which means orange in Dakota. And I said, if it's yes, spark once. If it's no, spark two times. And then it sparked. So I made a connection with it at that time. But I did this through telepathy. I didn't say it out loud, you know. I didn't want to scare my aunt or uncle, you know. And then it left. It just disappeared. And over time after that, when I would have my Yuwipi ceremonies here, if it was something really sincere, like somebody was getting ready to die or cancer or tragic or car wreck or something like that, I would make the appropriate ties and flags. and then I would ask it to come to the ceremony.
Jim,
Uh-huh.
I know what a Yuwipi ceremony is, but I don't know that our viewers all know what that is. Could you just give them a brief description of what a Yuwipi is?
Well, Yuwipi ceremony is what it means to tie up. They tie you up in a star quilt. And I'm a big guy. I'm about 6'2", about 315 pounds, And so I got a big giant Yupi quilt. I tease everybody. I said, "This is my truck tarp," But they would wrap it over me like a mummy, and they would take a long rope and they would put a noose around my neck, and they would tighten it, and it would go and tighten around my arms, my elbows, my hands, my thighs, my knees, and finally where my feet come together, my ankles. They tie me in a knot, so I can't move. I'm just like a big mummy, And so they lay me down on the floor in the ceremony house, and they start singing. They turn off the flashlight and they start singing the spirit songs, and then the spirits will start coming in. And when they come in like sparks of light, and you can hear different things like different animals, and you see orbs in there, and sometimes you even see figures like human being figures that look like they're like a dark shadow, I mean, I can't see them because I'm wrapped up in a blanket, but other people have told me this, that been into my ceremonies. And so how I communicate is through telepathy, through my mind. And all the time I'm trying to pray and be sincere and, asking for help. And usually they tell me what's going on,
Those are powerful ceremonies. I've attended some here, and there was one that it was a last minute thing. I got invited to stay for it, and I didn't know what we were doing or what it was all about. It was my first one. And when they made it all dark in there, and when everything started and the spirits started to come in, I could see them coming in, even though it was pitch dark.
Yep.
And I didn't know what the person was needing healing from. They didn't tell us that. There was actually multiple people that were there for healing, and they didn't tell us what was wrong with them. And I saw it was like purple energy of a spirit, and it was very small. It was maybe 2 or 3 feet tall, and it jumped on this woman, and it started to bite at her breast. And I was like, "Whoa, what's happening?" And afterwards, when it was all done, I told them what I had seen, and they said that this woman that it had jumped on, she had breast cancer, and that she was there for that. So that was really interesting. So thank you for sharing about the Yuwipi so other people can understand what that is.
A long time ago, even before me, when they would have doctoring ceremonies, lots of times the medicine man, they would suck the poison or the sickness out of the people, and they would spit it in a can or a jar or something. And so, but now with the way the laws are, and they're saying people are doing sexual abuse things and stuff, a lot of people don't practice that no more because they're afraid to go to prison or jail. So you don't find very many medicine people like that do where they actually suck, poison out or the sickness out, So what I depend on is the spirits to do it, to do the healing. And then usually the spirits will tell me what kind of medicine they need, or tea, or what kind of offerings, and then I'll relate to that person. That's what they need. Because everything's so touchy nowadays. I mean, basically our culture's almost got like handcuffs on it. You got to be really careful because you don't want to get in trouble. And that's another reason why a lot of the culture has died down, is because, it's still kind of outlawed by the government in a way, or, they're going to ridicule it or something like that. But when they see the miracles happen, then they just brush it off, you know. But anyway, going back to Shazi, that's the helper that came to me, the Bigfoot, and he come to me on several different occasions. And I'm gonna tell you this one ceremony that we had. Excuse me. It was before our Sundance, our purification, and there were some two sides of my Sundance family. They weren't getting along, you know. They're kind of arguing, you know. And so anyway, we had Yuwipi ceremony that night, which we usually have one at least during the purification. And so, of course, they tied me up. They laid me down, and they started singing, and then he came in, my helper, or you know, or I'm his helper, I guess, whatever way you want to say it, you know. And I felt this giant hand, and like I said, I'm a big guy now. I'm probably like 6'2", 315. This giant hand picked me up from the small of my back as I was tied up and lifted me up into the. I got an open ceiling in my ceremony house, and the spirit, he told me, he said, "Tell your people to quit arguing, because if they continue to argue, you're gonna get hurt." That means he was gonna drop me because people are not being grown up. You know what I mean? And so I said that as I was tied up in a blanket. I said, "You guys need to get along, otherwise you're gonna get me hurt." And so the mood lightened up, you know, and then he let me down. And when he left, he untied me, and you know, I told those guys, I said, these ceremonies, they're very powerful. You can't come here with like jealousy in your mind or pettiness or anything like that. You got to come in here for wanting to help somebody that's less fortunate than you, you know. And so, you know, those are some of the ceremonies that he came and he helped. You know, he helped me with, you know, and I mean, it's we just take it from a different point of view how we deal with them. And my grandpa would always tell me, he would say, he knew because he knew they were around here, and he said, "Leave them alone." And I can understand that, but I think the understanding part I got now from it was, leave them alone if you're not ready to respect them or to understand them. You know, you got to give them that respect, and you got to give them that, you know, that understanding where they can be beneficial to us. They can help us cure cancer. You know, they can help us do a lot of things, but we need to go at it from that angle and not of an angle of it's a monster or something harmful, you know. Does that, you know, you kind of see what point I'm trying to share?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so, you know, and I think there's some different regions, like in Pacific Northwest, and, you know, and I'm just going to say that area, you know, where they may think they're harmful. But I often think, what are the people like that are there? What are they doing? That's not right, you know? Maybe they're trying to tell them, hey, you need to reevaluate what you're doing, you know? Maybe you're doing something very harmful to everything, you know? And so that's how I look at it, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So when we talked before, you were talking about now when you do a Sweatlodge ceremony,
Mm-hmm.
is he coming to see you there too?
I mean, He did when it first started coming around. And lately I haven't been calling for him to come around unless it's something really, really serious. And then I'll make the ties and the flags, and then I'll put up the ceremony for it.
Mm-hmm.
But I won't just do it just to do it. It has to be something very, very serious, you know, that I would do that ceremony and ask for its help, you know. Excuse me. But yeah. So we got him here, right here in Nebraska. And another friend of mine from Nebraska here, he had his sighting on the south end of the reservation. And the way he described it, and he said it was physical, and as it was walking towards the trees, he said it just pixelated, and then he said it went invisible, you know. And so that's how he's seen it. He's seen the one down here on the south part of the reservation. I'm on the very north edge of the reservation, and he was a non-Indian guy, you know, that seen it that way, you know.
Now, didn't you say something about cedar trees and how they like to pass through those because what were you talking about?
Well, they like to camouflage themselves among cedar trees and pine trees. And a lot of it has to do with the dirt that tree is growing in. There's some kind of nutrition or medicine or something that helps them. And then the tree itself, actually, and cedar and the pine, has some kind of medicine within it that also helps them. So they use the dirt and they use the tree itself as a camouflage, and then they use the medicine that's within the tree. And so that's I can't tell you that.
I didn't hear the question. What did you say?
I wonder what's in the dirt.
Oh,
yeah. Those some things I can't tell. Okay, but I could only tell you that part of it because the other part is a part of what we use in our ceremonies. I can't share that. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine.
But that's what I know, you know, since I had my my experience, you know, like I said, it's about 8 years now. And it was so well, not really fast, but it seemed fast to me, you know. And but yeah. So, you know, I wanted to share something with you guys too. I think the reason why Native Americans have a lot of interaction or relationship or past relationship with them is because we were here with them, you know, from the beginning. And I think there was a mutual understanding and respect of each other. And then with the Europeans coming here, you know, they didn't get to, or they haven't, and I think now they're just starting to learn, is the difference of natural law, spiritual law, and when most of the Europeans, they believe in a Christian law, there's a difference. So when you believe in one side, you're not going to fully understand the other side, you know. And like me, I can't go into a church and say, hey, I know this is right, I know this is wrong, and I'm right and you're wrong. And, you know, I couldn't do that, you know. And I think the European side, unfortunately, I think some of them think, well, we're always right. We're always correct, And it's not right or wrong. That's just the way it is, And I think I think what's happening though, with a lot of people now, um, starting to come out and start to believe of like cryptids and all these other things. I think they're starting to. I think the European mentality is starting to open up more, where they're starting to believe in things and see things, and even to the point where now they could record ghosts and spirits, and that's good. I mean, but we always knew they were here anyway. But the good thing is that they're learning and they're communicating and they're getting a understanding of what that there's much more, than just the Christian side. If does that make sense? Do you guys understand what I'm trying to say?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, here's the thing. What I found out, and I'm just talking from my own experience, is for me to learn to know that I even had spirituality, I had to go through a lot of hardship. A lot of it was self-imposed, of course, with my alcoholism and stuff. But cleaning myself up, attending these ceremonies, for no matter how difficult they were, I went through them. I suffered, I cried, but I got through them. And the more I got through them, the more I learned about myself, the more I learned about nature. And then I started to learn more about the spiritual world, the other side. What I always say, you could look through a veil and you could see the other side, And it took me, I'm 60 years old now, so it took me my whole life. I really started out when I was 27, and, I put the alcohol away and I started just doing ceremonies because it saved my life. And it still continues to save my life today, And so, but since me doing that, and, was it 33 years now? I learned so much about this other side, the spiritual side. And, I'm going to tell you guys something, okay? I get a kick out of these guys that get all these footprints of Bigfoot, I sit there and they find footprints and they pour castings and it's like they compare them, and I get a kick out of that because I'm like, all it is just a signature, where it came from a spiritual part, it came physical for just like in our ceremonies. It's spiritual, it comes into the ceremony, it becomes physical, and then when it leaves, it turns back to spiritual, And so when I look at, these guys with all these footprints and stuff, I just kind of get a kick out of it because I'm like, oh, okay. They still haven't figured it out, And but that's fine. They will over time. Hopefully they will, But I think if you really want to have a true experience, you have to go to it from the spiritual standpoint. And I think the best way to do that is go to the Native American way, because we have such a long history and we have a relationship that goes back to, beginning, And that's where I think you'll get some really good communication, And that's me. I'm just waiting for them to show me what medicine to use to cure cancer, I'm hoping to show me a medicine that to use this to cure cancer, to heal people, And to me, I'd be so grateful for that. I mean, you see what I'm saying?
That would be wonderful.
Definitely.
Yeah. And that's, because the most priceless thing you have is your life, or helping somebody else save their life, And that's just what I'm trying to do, And that's why I go to these spirits. That's why I go to the ceremonies to say, hey, can you help this person, Can you help this grandma? Can you help this baby? Can you help this man, And that's how I go from it. Sorry. That's how I go from the the spiritual part of it, the ceremony way, Because I've been lucky because they saved me. So I just want to repay what they did to help me, And
So are they working with you then in the ceremonies? Do you think they kind of working together?
well, the one that comes to me, Shazi, I'm gonna tell you another. He came to me in another Yuwipi ceremony we had here. There was this little girl that she was dying of brain cancer, and so I just put up the ceremony for her. And the only thing that he told me is that he can help her transition easier because she's gonna cry for her mother and her father, and so, but she was too far gone, and so, but he was gonna make that transition from life into death easier. So there's some things you just, you can't totally control, but you can help. And that's what happened at that particular ceremony, So
So
yeah,
how many ceremonies are you having then? Like say in a year? Very few?
very few. Um, so I did my Yuwipi. I had a Yuwipi dream at the age of 35. And I didn't fulfill it till the age of 52. I was scared of it because I knew that I would have to turn my life over to, just to make it simple, God, to a creator, to spirits. And so I ran from it. And at that time I was married and we had the kids, and everything we did, it turned terrible. Nothing would turn out right, And me and my ex-wife, we were clean, sober people. We were powwow people. We were Sweatlodge people, and nothing would go right. And then finally, we just separated, divorced, and the reason why I did it is my nephew committed suicide. Um, he got into drugs and he hung himself, And so that's why I finally fulfilled that dream, and and ever since I fulfilled that dream, I've been doing these ceremonies since, And that was 2016. He died on Memorial Day 2016, and I did the ceremony. I fulfilled that dream in June. I think it was like June 10th, 2016. I did my first Yuwipi ceremony out in the nowhere in the hills out here, and there was some burial grounds. There was 3 graves there. In my dream, that's where they showed me I had to do it, and that's where they took me, and I did it, And I was scared, because I didn't know what to expect, I was always expecting the worst, And when the Creator come and help me, God, the spirits, um, I never felt so much love in my whole entire life. And that's why I like doing Yuwipi ceremonies, because I always say, well, this is my time to go talk to God, when I'm at my most pitiful, and helpless, you know. And but anyway, that's been 8 years. I think this coming June would be 9 years I've been doing Yuwipi, So I'm new to it, and I'm old now, or older, and but I I just it's kind of slowed down, So, but yeah, but I like this way of life though, I really do.
It's a beautiful way of life for sure. And I
Yeah.
know that area in Santee is there's so much that goes on there because I was invited down there by Dwayne Whipple. We
Mm-hmm.
talked about that on the phone to help
Mm-hmm.
the ghost children that were in the museum that used to be the school. So he'd asked us to come down there. That was many years ago. I hadn't heard that he had passed away, so thank you for telling me that.
Yeah.
But when we were there, I can't remember the name of the place, but it was a hill up the side of this hill by the river that other people didn't want to go up to at night. They were too scared. And because it had been raining, they were worried about the roads getting washed out. So we had to walk it. And I swear it
Okay.
was an uphill walk both ways.
Oh yeah.
But it was where they say the ghosts of the soldiers are, and people had some Bigfoot experiences up there.
Oh, okay. I don't know exactly what hill you're talking about, but
Okay.
there's a lot of that around here because it was an old boarding school. The area where you went to the tribal headquarters there.
Yeah.
Very haunted, very haunted. And I work at the Santee Health Center, and that's very haunted too, because that's built right over the old the Santee Normal Training School, which was a boarding school, is built right over it. So it's very haunted,
It was.
and still is actually.
And we were also brought into the old casino building that was no longer the casino, but that was really haunted too. And
Oh
it
yeah.
was like a Family Dollar, and yeah, there was other stores in there.
Oh yeah, I know you're talking out at the land management area on the Highway 12 there.
Okay.
Yeah. That place used to be a home site. Used to belong to this old man by the name of Jim Feather, and it was his home site, And he was an old bachelor, and when he died, he just donated the land back to the tribe. And so I used to work out there before because I used to drive the Santee Transit, and I would go to work early in the morning, like 5:30, 6 a.m. in the morning, because I had to go pick up workers. And there was a couple of times I seen that old man walking in in the dark. I mean, I didn't get afraid or anything. Well, I kind of did a little bit, but I just knew that, hey, this was his place, And that's where they used to have a lot of dances long time ago in the early 1900s when they would sing and they would dance and they would eat together, And so that's the Jim Feather place now, but we call it the land management area now. That's where land management building is. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So,
and I know that they were having Bigfoot things going on there, and then things with the little people. Can you tell us about the little people up there, down there?
Yeah, we got little people around here, and the ones we got here, we call them chonk cheetahs, little tree dwellers, little people that live in the trees, and some are helpers to different medicine men, and but what I know about them is if they give you something, you always have to give them something back in return, And so And then the other little people they call us Wawilas, the little water spirits, little water people that come out of the springs, and that's where they come out of. And so, we got them both here, both little people, Excuse me, but yeah, it just there's all kinds of different things, and one I'll tell you one thing: there's ghost horses here, and I was a little kid, and my Aunt Marlene, she was in high school at the time, and she was with her boyfriend, and they came back. We lived on the south end of the reservation then, and it was winter time like this, and so he brought her home, and they heard horses. You know how horses are weaning and stuff, stomping around, snorting, and they heard horses running down the road, and so they were sitting there in the driveway at the place there, and these horses came and they ran right into this barn, you know, and they're making noise in there and pawing around and snorting and stuff, and then they ran out, and then they ran down the other direction down the road, and they seen them, you know, and they were thinking, what the heck, but there was no hoof prints or nothing in the snow. And so I was talking to some of these Vietnam veterans down here, and this one was telling me, he's like, when the government they put our people in the prison in Minnesota, and what horses we had, the cavalry, they took them and they shot them. They killed all our horses, our ponies and stuff. And so that way we couldn't hunt, or we couldn't escape, or we couldn't have war against them, So he was saying, I think those ponies, they follow us people wherever we go, They're attached to us, spiritually. And so I know that's happened to some of the tribes out west too, the same thing, that the government killed their ponies, their horses, so they couldn't fight, or they couldn't go hunting, or they couldn't escape, So, but we had those down here. And there was another account, this old Vietnam veteran, he's dead now, and he was telling me that he came back from Nibur one night coming to Santee, and he ran out of gas. And he was probably like 6 miles from Santee, from the village. And he didn't want to walk because he was kind of, drinking beer, So he said, I'm going to just sleep in my car and wait until the morning and catch a ride with somebody. So he said he lay down, went to sleep, same thing. So all these horses come running around my car, snorting, pawing, kicking around. I looked out, he said they ran right by. And there was no tracks of any kind of horse tracks or anything the next morning, So he didn't know if he was going crazy or not, but he was. And some of these other veterans are like, yeah, that's probably part of the ponies that they killed that we used to have, Because if you had a pony and you're a Dakota back then, you were considered very wealthy, And so, a lot of those stuff like that, I think they hang around our people more is because we grew up with it. We grew up around them. The oral history has been passed down. And so I think that it's always going to be with us, And but I think, other people got their stories too, and their you know what I mean, their culture, like the Irish and the Germans and all of them, they all got their their history, their culture. That's why when all my friends come around, my Sundance family, I always ask them, "What background are you?" Well, American. I said, "No, you're not. You're Irish, or you're German, or you're French, or you're Italian, or Norwegian, or Um,
That's funny though, because if you go to like Ireland or someplace like that and you're like, oh, I'm Irish, you're like, no, you're not. You're American.
yeah, but the culture's got so much history, so much deep history, and they got a connection with the land, and like I've been to Europe. I was in the military over there for a couple of years, stationed there, and they got this rich history, and I'm like, man, that's something to be proud of, And so I don't know. I just try to point that out, and be nice and understanding, and want to learn more. I always want to learn more. So
Well, when we talked on the phone, you talked about the little people
uh-huh.
that were shapeshifters, and that they could shapeshift into Bigfoot and sometimes into a little mouse. Can you tell us about that?
Oh no, that's the Bigfoots that they can turn into different things.
Okay.
And one time I was on a vision quest, and it was in wintertime like this. It was cold. It was snowing. I was actually in the Sweatlodge, and I went in to go pray. It was just for one day. And that night, I heard something coming, and it was loud, and you can kind of feel the ground kind of move or shake, And then when it got close to the Sweatlodge, it was this little mouse that came in. And it was dark, and I couldn't see nothing. And it came in, and it was like right behind me, like right behind my back. And it didn't do nothing to me or nothing. And so I just prayed, and I sang a song, and then it turned around and it left. And as soon as it left, it went out the tarps, Same thing, you hear the big footprints as it was going away, So they could, and they can also turn into owls too. They mimic owls, like a hoot owl. They could mimic them too. And so they don't got really no boundaries, or no limitations. They can kind of do whatever they have to do at that time, And that's how I known it, and that's how my experiences have been, with them. So, but yeah, that's the part I know about that,
Have you ever tried to contact them other than in your ceremonies? Or do you basically just stay within the ceremonial topic?
Just the ceremony, because that's how my first contact was. And when it came to know me, and me to know what it is. And then also through the ceremony part is where I learned, to pray and ask it to help us as humans, And so I just stick to it from the ceremonial standpoint, And that's if I ever went out, like they say, squatching, I would do it in a native way. First, I would offer something to it, like maybe food or tobacco or water. Tell it it's what my intentions are, and then I would go out and sing the appropriate songs to see if it would come around, And then whatever materializes from there, that would be my answer, What? And that's how I would do it. If I was gonna go do it, I would do it from that way. I've been thinking about this too lately, is if I would do it, I would have a sweat lodge with the people that are going with me. We would purify ourselves so we could pray and we could purify and we could wash away anything that's not right in our mind. And then when we were done with that, we would get dressed and it would go to, I got spots here on the reservation that I would go and we would set up and then I would start singing and, start praying and put, like I said, put food out for it, water, tobacco, that type of thing, maybe ties and flags, and then ask it if it would come and see us,
That's a good thing.
That's how I would do it, me, And there's certain ties and flags that I use for him to ask for it to come around, especially in ceremony. I would use the same ties and flags if I went out and did a night excursion like that. You know what I mean? That makes sense. Do you guys see it?
Yeah, for sure.
And honestly, that's just my thought. I think you'd probably have better interaction, maybe. Because if you try to, anything spiritual, if you come at it with a little bit of fear in your mind or doubt or logical thinking, more than likely it's not gonna come around, because it's what you're selling is it's not buying, But if you come from a standpoint of like, hey, I'm spiritual, I want to make a connection, I want to know if you can help me or if I can help you, and go from that standpoint, I think you would have a better outcome. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So that's what I know. I wish I could tell you, like I said, I just got into this, but since it happened, I just been doing it from the spiritual standpoint through ceremony and Yuwipi. And like 3 years ago was my first Bigfoot conference, the Nebraska one that was in Hastings, Nebraska. Then I went to the Grand Island one last year. Then I got excited and I went to the one out in Yakima Nation in Washington. I went to that one. And
was that the one we were at? Because we were at the Yakima one. I was just wondering if it's the same year that we were there.
It was in October, I think. This past October.
Not this last one. No, it was 2 or 3 years ago, wasn't it?
Oh no, this one was just the last one.
Okay.
Yeah, this one just happened. And I wanted to go out there, and like I said, I had to kind of chuckle to myself when all these guys are talking about footprints and all this other stuff. And I'm like, they don't want to listen to what I got to say, so. But it was just good to go meet people, I got to meet, what's his name? Bob Gimlin.
Yes.
We love Bob.
And I told him what I'm telling you guys. And, he got really excited and he was like, really? I'm like, yeah. And he said, I knew there was more to it. He said, but I didn't know what, And so, yeah, I talked to him and, I met some other people. The lady, Barbara Serpe, Supe, the one that caught the cloaking one.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, shoot, I knew about this 8 years ago, And, but I told her my story, and, there's some other people I met there. The guy from BFRO, Matt.
Matt.
Yep. Yeah, I met him too. And so it was good to meet people, But I think this is the new way of doing it. You know, I know they call it the woo factor, the woo way, but hey, it's always been the woo way here on this continent. You know, we didn't have no scientific things going way back. You know, there wasn't no natives. We weren't trying to plaster footprints or anything like that. You know, we just knew that they were always around, and we had that respect to them, you know, or for them.
I think that's why that we've all had more experiences than a lot of these researchers have ever had. We had face-to-face interactions with them, daytime sightings, and my last one I was only 15 foot away. I think it's because they know your heart, your spirit, they know your intent, and we come from a higher place because we're all psychics. So I think that they recognize that, and I think they respect that in us, and they see that we have no ill will towards them at all. And I think that's why we have more interactions than maybe other people do.
Yeah, I believe that, and that's it. That's exactly it. Come from your heart space,
Absolutely.
of compassion and love and caring, and you go so much farther in this world than from the other way, other space, And I think because that's what works in ceremonies. Tell you that right now. That's what works in ceremonies. When you come to ceremony, you come from your heart space, come from love, caring, and compassion. You get so much more interactions, communications, results, And I learned that, But yeah. So I think if you try it the way I said, just at least just do a run through or whatever and see what happens, And I think you'd be surprised that because you want more than just, sure, it's nice to have them come up there where you visually can see them and stuff. But what you want more is to have that communication and saying, what do you want from me? And they may say, I want you to share this information, with your people. And then they'll say, well, what can I do for you? So I think it's a spiritual mutual respect thing that can go very far,
Absolutely.
So, but yeah. Are you guys coming to Nebraska Bigfoot conference?
Well, I don't know. Is Harriet still running that? We were there how many years now? Maybe 4 years ago.
Yeah, it was a while.
Yeah,
it's been a long time.
Yeah,
we'd love to come back.
Yeah, she is. I only go as a spectator. I've never been invited nowhere to speak or anything, but I like going just to meet people.
We've definitely had a lot more experiences since the last time we were there to share. So we have all new stuff. We can't possibly share it all anymore in one presentation, but we have a whole bunch of new stuff, and we have documentaries that we've been filming now for the last 4 years. We spend at least a month in the field with the filming crew every year, and so those documentaries usually come out the year after we've filmed them. So I think next month, Searching for Sasquatch 14 is coming out. It's called Terror in the Woods. And that was the one that we filmed in Pennsylvania last June, I think.
June, yeah.
Really?
So, yeah. And then we were filming in Michigan in September. Or was that October? It was September. And so that one should be coming out soon too. So yeah, there's a bunch more documentaries coming out that we're in 11 of them out that are out already. There's a bunch more coming out. We have more filming to do this year.
Not to brag.
I was just gonna say.
Well, here's the good thing is you're sharing with the world that hey, there's something more out here
Absolutely.
than what
Yeah.
you were taught.
We're
you
not
know?
doing the documentaries just to say, hey, we're in a movie. We're doing it because we want to find the truth and we want to share it with everybody else and not gatekeep it. That's why we do it.
Yes. Yeah, and that's the biggest thing. The things we're looking for, they're keeping away from us. You know, we want everything we find to be out as soon as possible.
Mm-hmm.
We're looking for it. We're gonna find it. Doggone it.
And we're going to share it with you.
And we're
Well, you guys gotta come out here to Nebraska and we'll go do something, you know.
oh, yeah, that
We'll
would be
do a
That's
ceremony
fun,
and
I was gonna ask and beg, but I thought I do that so often. I'm so glad you said that.
Don't
yeah, we can if you want to go do like a night, we'll go do the with Sweatlodge first, of course. And then we'll go. My original location, like I said, is 2 miles from here. And then I got about 5 miles to the river, the Missouri River. There's nothing out here. Okay, there's nothing. And then the other place is on the south end of the reservation where the other sighting is. And then the other one is to the east end of the reservation where there was another sighting. And we could probably make a whole night of it, you know. And
absolutely. Well, if we come out there, we'd probably be out there for a little while longer than that.
Yeah, we'll probably be out there for a few days, 2, 3, 4,
Yeah.
5 days.
Yeah.
yeah.
We really
Well,
like
you could stay at my ceremony house. It's a log cabin. It's got a wood stove in it.
nice.
You know, I got
That's
cots,
nice.
nothing fancy, you know, but yeah, I got everything here.
Great.
And yeah, and maybe one night we'll have a Yuwipi ceremony, you know.
That would be amazing. I want to experience that.
Yeah.
Just promise me don't get scared when he comes in, because the whole
No.
building shakes.
We don't get
Exciting.
scared.
I'm serious. When he comes in, it feels like a semi hit my my cabin because it's so powerful and so intimidating. But when he comes in and he's around me, it's just like just total peace, you know. And I just at that time I know I'm just truly protected, and you know, and I just go into my prayer and ask him, you know, whatever it's for, you know. But yeah, it scared a lot of people when we had him when he come into the ceremony. He hit the wall, and somebody thought a tractor ran into the log cabin or the cabin, you know. And I'm like, no, it's something else, guys, you know. And yeah, it's pretty strong, you know, pretty strong out here. But yeah, we'll have to figure out sometime. And like I said, and then you know we're going in, you know, usually May we start going into what we call ceremony season, Vision Quest. Then we have Sundance in August, and so we always have a lot more ceremonies. You know what I mean? And we have ceremonies anytime: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You know, so there's no time or no appointment needed or anything like that. So, but yeah. So just keep that in mind. You know,
we will. Well, we definitely are still in the planning process of what trips we're going to do this year. So we'll put that on our wish list of going to Nebraska. I think you're like 8 or 9 hours directly south of me because I've driven that drive before.
Yeah, you're up by Fargo.
I have to go. I have somebody outside waiting for me.
All right.
Love you, Tammy.
Nice meeting you.
It happens afterwards. But yeah, you guys have a great night.
Thank you.
I love you.
Thank you.
I love you.
So here we've got a question for you. If you still have time, they're asking, what are your scariest moments? Do you have any scary moments?
Well, probably my scariest moment was when I did my first Yuwipi ceremony, and because I didn't know what to expect, I didn't know what was going to happen, you know. Um, so I would say that was probably the scariest moment, you know, um, as far as, you know, spiritual things.
Okay, that would be scary because I've attended those here, and there are
Mhm.
something, that's for sure. Because we were inside. It was wintertime, and so
Yep.
we were
Yep.
inside a really old building, and they even taped the doors shut, so there was no light coming in at all.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. It was definitely. I didn't know what to expect. You know, I'd been to Sweatlodge and all that, but this was completely different. So
Mhm.
it was definitely an interesting experience, and I think the girls would love. Tammy and Jenna would love to experience that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oops. Yes.
It's an eye opener, I tell you that. It makes you really truly believe in God or creator, you know, because it's right there in front of you, you know. And so,
So the
yeah.
question they have now is Jim saying that there's a Bigfoot in Nebraska year round? There's no real reports in the past 4 or 5 years. I don't know that that's true, because I think there's Native people in Nebraska that are
Oh yeah.
researching that.
But
Yeah,
are they reporting?
Oh, they
They're
might be reporting.
yeah, see, that's a lot of things is I don't record stuff like this, you know. It's just through experience, life experience. And a lot of times, like I said, a lot of natives are scared to come out, share these things because they're afraid they're going to get ridiculed really bad or made fun of or say they're crazy, or so they don't share things like this. And so, and I guarantee you I could probably go in a community and find 10, 15 people that got experiences, but they're not going to say it out in the public because they're like, no, they're going to think I'm crazy or something like that. So they definitely won't report it, you know. So there's very few of us that will come out, share things like this, you know.
Yeah. I
So
understand why people aren't reporting it. You know, like you said, they just don't want to be considered crazy. So you got to wonder how many actual sightings have not been recorded.
I say all the
There's got to be a huge number.
I say all the
yeah.
time, these people don't report to the BFRO in general. You know, that's where people usually go to look for reports, and Native people generally aren't reporting that at all to them. So
No, and they won't either, because like I said, and this is the Bible Belt, you know. People don't want to get, you know, made fun of any worse than what they already are, you know. So of course they're not gonna say things, you know. You know, but I'll tell you one thing. This guy he was alive, he's dead now. His name is Danny Liska, and he was a Bohemian man from down by Verdigris, Nebraska. And he wrote a book called "The Strangest Things in Nebraska," or in Knox County, Nebraska. And it's at the museum in Nyberg. And he went and got a lot of the old elderly people to tell their stories about the paranormal things that happen within the Knox County area. And he wrote a book on it. And, you know, and of course, his own people, you know, non-Indian people, they said he was crazy and he was a kook and all this other stuff. But now people are realizing, hey, this guy was truthful, you know. And you know what? He married this woman from Colombia who was a spiritualist woman. And check this out. My two friends, they had a sweat lodge down here. So Danny and his wife, her name was Regina, and I can't pronounce her last name. And they came to the sweat lodge, and they were having a sweat lodge, and he wanted to bring her to the sweat lodge. She wanted to come with the Native Americans and come into a ceremony. So my friend Kalon, you know, they had the sweat lodge, and of course they're pouring water on the rocks to steam, and they were singing and praying, and And you know how they open the door because it gets real hot? Kaylon said, when I opened the door, Jim, I looked over at her and she was levitating above the ground. She wasn't sitting on the ground. She was floating above the ground.
I believe that.
And I guess they had pictures of her in Colombia where she was praying and she was levitating too. And the people were like, I think, they're all really big Catholic people and stuff. And they're like, and she's like, a saint or whatever they call them, And, well, our people used to do that all the time too. Used to levitate, And so, this government has dumbed us down, spiritually dumbed us down so much that we don't even believe who we are or what we are, what we used to be able to do. And so I'm to the point of where I'm trying to learn all this to reshare with our people, or anybody that wants to learn, That's kind of what I'm trying to do, And but so because we shouldn't be limited by anything, We should be able to be free and do, live within, a good human boundary, And but yeah, I wanted to share that with you guys about when she was levitating and stuff. So, and I got a bunch of old stories where a lot of our old Dakota people, they used to say they could fly. And I think what they meant by that was they meant levitation. And so I like to get back to that kind of education. You know what I mean? That's the kind of knowledge I want to search for.
I've heard stories of that from my reservation too. Like they talked about there was an old medicine man, like the elders that would be elders now were little boys when they were witnessing things about the old medicine man would wave his hand and the table would fly up in the air and start spinning. And and then they said that my great grandfather could do it too.
Oh yeah.
He was able to do that. And so like my elder used to encourage me to do all these different things because he said it was in my blood that I could do it. I just had to remember how. Mm-hmm. And I know that when we talked earlier, we talked about how it's passed down in generations. And the gifts come back.
Well, see, in our family, it should have went to my uncle Junior. He passed away. That was my grandpa's son, second youngest son, and it should have went to him, but a lot of them don't want to do this because they think they're going crazy. They think they're going full cuckoo clock,
But you and I both know it feels like that for a while, for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It does feel like that. I don't think I would have been able to make it through that process that I call my major spiritual awakening if I didn't have my native elder guiding me through it, because I would always ask him, this is what's happening. Am I okay? Am I crazy? Because it felt like I was going crazy.
See, that's why I turned to alcohol. When my grandpa died, I was the age of 15, okay? And that was like the end of my life. I drank to the age of 27. I was a terrible alcoholic. And I was just a pure a-hole, And I was mad at the world, mad at everything. Until that first sweat lodge that saved my life. And so since that time, I know this is my path. I know this is what saved me. I know this is what's going to make me grow. I know this is what's going to make me live. So that's why I do it, And so, but I thought I was going crazy. And there were some times when I was drinking, and I was driving, I could swear somebody got into the car with me, like a ghost or a spirit, and it scared the hell out of me, you know. And these type of things that I went through, I thought I was just going full cuckoo clock, you know. And come to find out is that, you know, God, Creator, had plans for me. And so I had to change my life. I had to quit killing myself, and I had to learn how to live again. And that's what I'm learning now, is how to live again, you know.
Thank you for doing that. Because a lot of people don't answer the call, right?
Well, I feel bad for them because I know how hard it is, you know. And that's why I'm, you know, usually I wouldn't even share this with nobody. I wouldn't tell nobody none of this because people are going to say, yeah, he's crazy. But you know what? If this helps somebody get through that spot, and then I figure I did my job, you know, which was to help another human being, another fellow human being. Because I didn't have that, you know, when I said after Grandpa died, I just thought that was the end of my world, you know. And my grandma was old, and you know, and she couldn't do nothing, you know. Shoot. So I'm lucky. I'm very, very lucky. And the luck that I got given to me, I just want to share, you know, by sharing all my stories, sharing my experiences, sharing my ceremonies, sharing my life. You know, that way I hope it helps somebody like, hey, maybe I'm not crazy. Maybe this Jim White has something that I can relate to, you know?
Right. Well, and even the people who have so much shame and so much guilt for what they've let happen to their life or what they've been doing in their life, I always tell people, give it purpose. Come through onto the other end and use what you learned to help other people who are going through the same thing. Because you will know how to do it because you've done it, right?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
give those things
Exactly.
purpose, and you can feel grateful for them instead of feeling bad about it.
You know, like I'm the only guy around here, like you know, with my Sundance. I hire the guys that drink, the guys that smoke weed, even some of the guys that do meth. I'm the only guy that will hire them to work for me. Like, hey, I need a load of wood, guys. All right. Of course, I know they're gonna go and, you know, go back to their habit, but I give them the time of day, and they give me their work. And you know, if I need firewood, mainly firewood, you know, and and nobody else won't even look at them. And I'm like, hey, man, they're human beings. They're tribal members. Why do I treat them like shit, you know? And so that's why I think a lot of the people here, they always they like me. They secretly like me, you know, because I'll treat them good. But I know because I've been down that road before, and I'm not gonna I'm not gonna hurt them, you know. So there's a difference, and I think that way too. That's why the spirits love me, because the spirits do love me. I know that. I know that in my heart. I know that in my bones. They love me, and they follow me everywhere. And so that's just because I would rather be that way than the other way, you know.
You know,
You know what
don't
I
you
mean?
feel that the more hurt and pain you've experienced in life, the more empathy you can feel for people?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Exactly. And you wanna be there for people, you know. You want
Mm-hmm.
them. You want the better for them, you know.
Yes.
And you know, like I said, going back to hiring these guys for cutting firewood, you know, say I like the other guy, I just paid him $30 the other day. You know, he got me a small load of firewood. But what if that money, what if he said, you know what? I'm not gonna go buy a joint. Shoot, I'm gonna go buy myself some chips, a couple bottles of pop and a sandwich. He made that choice, not me, but I gave him the opportunity to make that choice. You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
I can't make it for him, but I can always help him to want to make a better choice,
Yes,
So,
you can present them with an opportunity.
yes. And that's what I do, I do that here is because I hire the people that nobody don't want, a lot of times they come and they cut weeds for me or mow for me or go pick up sweat rocks for me or and of course I compensate them, but I'm the only one that would do it. These other guys
And
around
here's
here, they expect you to do it to them for free, I'm like, come on,
Yeah.
man, that's hard work,
But
come on.
the fact that you're doing that is the incredible part. There's not enough people that are out there hiring people with, hardships. And I think that's awesome that you're doing that. And thank you very much, Jim.
Yeah, and I'm just, because that's who I am. That's just how I was raised by grandpa and grandma. My grandma would always feed everybody. She would take everybody in. I had this one relative, his nickname was Hosh, and this sticks out to me, okay? He was walking by my grandma's house, and he was half shot, from drinking beer, and my grandma yelled at him, "Get over here." "Okay, grandma." He come over there, kind of staggering, and she's like, You drinking?" "Yeah, I was." "Get in here." Made him sit down. She made him eat breakfast and drink some coffee. And then she told him, "Go lay down in the back room." "Okay, grandma." And he laid down and went to sleep. By 8-9 hours, he come rolling out, and he's better. And grandma like, "You go home now. You don't be getting in trouble, okay?" "All right, grandma." But see, that's a love that we don't see anymore, that you would take somebody that's maybe having something going on in their life that's making them do that, and, give them your time and your attention and your love and your compassion. And that's just how my grandma was. And, yeah, so that's why I try to be the same way, And,
Well, I think that's
yeah.
awesome. I do.
Yeah,
I
thank
love
you.
that way of life, that way of being, and everything moves in a circle. So I think it's a wonderful way of life.
Yeah.
And I know that we've kept you way longer than we said we would, so I don't want to.
Oh, that's fine.
I don't want to keep you on here forever because we were only gonna. You said an hour, and we're well past that. So
Okay.
I want to thank you for coming on tonight and sharing with us, and for extending an invitation. I'm hoping we can come down there. That would be amazing.
Yes,
Yeah.
please. He already said it.
Yeah, we'll try it. We'll try it my way, okay?
Yes.
Oh, beautiful.
Absolutely.
And then that way you have the experience, and stuff. So
yeah.
And Jim, you are a beautiful person inside and out. And thank you so much for coming on tonight. And I'm sure this won't be your only visit here.
okay, yeah.
You can always come back and tell us anything else that's been going on. We'd love to hear about it.
Yeah, I'll tell you guys when I have I'll tell you some more ceremony stories and stuff as time comes. So, but
I would love that.
all right. Thank you, guys.
Well, thank you for coming on, and thanks to everybody who's tuned in and been in the chat room. It's been great having you here, and I hope you have a great week. And we'll sign it off. Thanks for everything. Good night,
Okay,
everyone.
bye.
Good night.
Good night.